Over the years, I have been using and wearing a lot of different clothes from a lot of different brands. And in this video, I'm going to mention 5 that are not worth it at all from my own experience, especially for the quality or the price or the materials they are using that are not as good as they used to be. And these brands are brands that are timeless, iconic. Even if you start dressing well, if you start reading about how to improve your style in style forum, for example, or you start following different influencers and they are going to say, oh, these brands are good, but from my own experience they look good, but they are not really worth it. And the first one is Barracuda. Barracuda is making iconic Harrington jackets made in England. This G9, the classic model, is made in England. They also have different models. They have even the G9 Clicker, I think it's called, that is not made in England. Keep in mind that even though this one is made in England, I would say it's not worth it. More than 50% of the fabric is polyester. It's a synthetic fabric. The inside lining 20% polyester, and this fabric is really thin. It doesn't feel like you are paying for a good jacket. I mean, the quality I would say is good, but for the price you are paying, for the price that they are asking for this jacket that is quite lightweight, that is thin, that is okay, well made, let's say. It doesn't have any like flaws or any defects or anything like that, at least this one. But the price they are asking for a thing that is made in England but with a lot of polyester synthetics, that when you're going to wear it, you're going to feel wet, you're going to sweat more. It doesn't breathe as a good jacket made of 100% cotton. And of course, if you are looking for an iconic classic Harrington jacket, this is the best in terms of the design. The double zip, the details that they have. Well, there are a few things that I'm not big fan of, like this kind of cuffs that I don't like. This kind of cuffs, like when it's ripped, you know, all around, because when you move it's just like staying there, it doesn't move with you. You know, I do prefer the other model that they have, that it doesn't have this kind of cuffs and it has also side adjusters on the back, but this is for my personal opinion. But even though that model is still overpriced, they do sales. That's the only good thing about this brand, that they do sales for few models, and even sometimes you can find few of them that are like 50% made of 100% cotton. If they are using, you know, like new or special editions, sometimes they are made of 100% cotton, and even wool and cashmere and polyester, of course, because they are using blends of fucking polyester. In that case, if you can get them 50% off, then it's kinda good, kinda fair price for this. By the way, there is one Harrington jacket that, of course, it doesn't have this quality. It's just a Harrington jacket with, you know, it doesn't have the same vibes, but it's made in England, and I got it for I think 35 pounds. I wanted to try it because, you know, 35 pounds made in England, I don't know how they make it. But the funny thing is that one, it has 100% cotton fabric. The lining is a blend of polyester, but it has more cotton than this one. So I don't know why or what happened with Barracuda making all the jackets with a blend of polyester. Is it because they needed water resistant? I don't know. I don't know if it's because of that. And even I would rather go for a good umbrella to protect myself from the rain than for a jacket. Because actually, if you want a jacket to protect yourself from the wind and the rain, it's better to go for Barbour or Baba if you are British or something like that. Sorry, excuse my French, I'm not British, so I don't know how you pronounce it correctly, but this brand is also, from my own experience, not worth it. And if you have been following my channel for a while, you maybe have seen another video that I made about this brand, talking about reasons to buy or not to buy a jacket from Barbour. And in that video, well, I think the conclusion is quite clear in this video, what I'm going to mention, but you can watch that video later in case you haven't seen it. The main reason is just few models from Barbour are still made in the UK, and they are not made as the same quality as they used to be made in years and years ago. The fabric is not the same, the finishing is kind of still good, but to me, if it's not made in the UK, they are overpriced. Even though in the UK is still the best place to get them because they are cheaper than in the rest of Europe. America, of course, they are much more expensive. So if you by any chance are traveling to London or to the UK, and if you have the opportunity to get a classic beadle, the free models that I don't remember right now that are still made in the UK, that ones are good enough to pay the price they are asking for, but not the HB, for example, which is the one that I got, and it has a polyester lining, especially the sleeves, 100% polyester lining. Your arms are going to be wet. The lining inside for the body lining is a blend of polyester and cotton that is going to create peeling, small limbals over like just few months wearing it. So I would say are not worth it. Just the classic models that they have a really oversized fit or really baggy fit, and it's not because they are following the trend of the new trend. You might like that kind of fit, you might not like, but I would say Bell Stuff are making better jackets. Bit more expensive, kind of similar, I would say, even outside of the UK, but they are better, and that's why I would say Barbour is not worth it. Like another British brand, and I know that it looks like I'm going to talk only about British brands, but it's true that these kind of brands, they look like, oh, they are classic, the ones that they have been there in the business for years and years and years, but today they are not as good they used to be, like Crockett & Jones. Crockett & Jones, especially for the price they are asking for their shoes, I will say that we have better options in the market. And I know they are really classic, they are still made in Northampton, but the quality, even though we can say that is still the same what it used to be like 10 years ago, but now you need to pay like double the price of 40% more if you were one of the luckiest that you got them like 10 years ago. Then they were really worth it, but not now. Their shoes are overpriced because nowadays we can find the same quality shoes for a price that is much more cheaper, like Morjas or Morjas, I'm not sure how to pronounce that name. It's a Sweden brand that they are making all their shoes in Spain. Goodyear construction, made in Almansa. There's another one, Berwick, that this one I'm not sure if they have presence in America, or I think in the UK you can find them through the website of A Fine Pair of Shoes. They used to have few different models from Berwick. Keep in mind that Berwick sometimes the sizing depends of the last of. Just be sure about that. Just ask if you are going to get them online, but the price you're going to pay is like much more lower than for a Crockett & Jones, and the quality of the leather you're going to see is almost the same. And I got a pair of Crockett & Jones, by the way, in case you're going to say you never had one. I got a Sydney model, and I made actually a video comparing them with Carmina shoes, which is also another really good options that also have been increasing the prices over time, but I would say they are better than Crockett & Jones. There are a lot of different differences that I mentioned in that video. You can watch it later as well if you want. Crockett & Jones is not special for the price as good as it needs to be. At least this is what I think. I know that there are the James Bond shoes and that kind of classic vibes that they have, iconic or whatever you want to call them. But for a lower price, we can find a lot of different good options in the market. And even you probably know few different brands that I would love to read in the comments below. And let's move on with the next one, another British brand. Could you guess it? Which one would be? Is Hackett London. And I know this one is more kind of trendy. It's still classic. They have like in Mayfair, they have like the flagship store in Savile Row, and you're gonna still find good pieces from time to time, but they are making most of the things first outside of the UK, outside of Europe, even in China, and we can find better options nowadays. Suit supply suffering, better options, better suits. So I don't know why Hackett is even still in the market, and they are making, you know, the logo, visible logo, many of their clothes that they are offering. Some people say, oh, it's a classic British brand. It's not really classic. It's kind of modern, trendy. I have few things from this brand, and I have been wearing them even for years, and I know how this brand have been evolving, and nowadays they are using first thinner fabrics, sometimes synthetics. The fits they are making for a lot of their clothes are kind of, you know, slim, modern. Even they are not modern anymore because nowadays we have the baggy size. I'm not a big fan of following any trends. I'm just mentioning because it's not modern anymore, because before they had like an excuse to make the, you know, the slim fit and the small lapels and that kind of things because they were trendy. They are still making the same slim lapels, slim suits, slim trousers, low-rise trousers, that kind of things that are not classic at all. Even this brand is a bit overpriced as well, so they do sell sometimes. So if you can find few small pieces that are good enough for the price, then maybe, but for most of the collection they are not good enough. And the last brand of the list, well, I'm going to mention one more, one Spanish brand that maybe you're going to say, oh, you're not mentioning any Spanish brand. Well, actually I live in Spain, but I'm Ukrainian. Anyway, this, which is not the last one, it's the last but not least, is Ralph Lauren. Ralph Lauren, I made a review recently about this brand. A lot of people were saying, oh, they are good. Others agree with me that it's not as good as it was, because of course nowadays everything is made in China, Vietnam, India. The quality is just lower, the price is higher. Just few things are iconic or better quality or different. That good pieces could be worth it, especially on sale. But full price, no way. Even the classic polos that they used to be making like really well, nowadays they are terrible quality. They're going to be, you know, wear out in just few washes. The collar is not going to keep its shape. Terrible quality, especially for the basics. And just few iconic pieces are good enough. And the last brand, and the Spanish one, that has presence in a lot of different countries, is Massimo Dutti. It's not Italian, by the way. It's part of the group of Inditex, the same owner of Zara, all this conglomerate of fast fashion brands. And Massimo Dutti is like the best one in terms of quality, but even though they have been changing the quality over the last 5 years, I would say they are making more blends of polyester, especially for the knitwear. The fits that they are making for most of the things are really like following the new trend of baggy, oversized, so are terrible. You need to go lower one size, and then the sleeves are going to be short. Just few pieces are good enough, and I made a video about that you can watch it just right after this video, because here is the end of this video, and I would love to read your comments mentioning different brands as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.